Hey everybody, this is Hadrian. Thanks for watching. I thought it would be a good idea, given that we have reached such an advanced point in the campaign, to kind of stop and take a closer look at trading and do a half episode on trading. I'm just going to take a few minutes explaining how trade works in a bit more detail, going through the screen and talking about all the different options for those of you who want to be more robust diplomatically or just want to be able to manipulate the world a little bit more around you, because you definitely can, and it's not something I've gone into a lot of detail about. So let's go to our good friends in Poland. I've loaded up a save prior to the war in Poland, and I'm not sure where I'm going to insert this episode yet, so the war might not have even happened yet, so I won't spoil it. But so this is the trade screen, and one of the reasons that I wanted to look at Poland as someone to trade with is they actually do have delegate support to trade as well. So we have the full spread of options here. So as I mentioned in the earlier half episode talking about trade, anything that goes into this column are things that Casimir is going to do. That's Casimir's side of the trade. Anything in this column is your side of the trade. So it's important, as you guys saw with me earlier in the series, not to get mixed up on, for instance, if Casimir was saying, if open borders was in this column, Casimir is not saying, hey, I want you to open your borders. Casimir is going to open his borders because it's in this column. So that's just the first thing I want to point out. But anyway, so you have a lot of options. Notice this one's grayed out because we don't actually have a declaration of friendship with Casimir, and I'm not likely to be able to pull one off here. Let's see if where there's an option. I think a declaration of friendship is actually not even a... Yep. When you go to discussion options, you can make a joint declaration of friendship. Yeah, Casimir's not interested here. You can also tell them, of course, not to settle new cities near you. That's not necessarily trading. You can tell them to stop spying, which is fun. But so if you have a declaration of friendship, you have the ability to just literally give them a certain amount of gold. You can just give them money. You can also set up gold per turn as part of trades. And obviously you can't trade gold per turn for gold per turn because that doesn't make any sense. But if you want them to pay you a certain amount over time, it's a 30-turn deal. Can't change the amount of turns that you're paying them gold per turn, but you can change the amount of gold that is paid per turn. So you can do that. I'm just going to click that to remove it. And then the next big thing, and this is important to understand because I've actually gotten a comment about this, like, hey, how do you know that you're about to run out of a luxury resource? Of course, you can trade luxury resources anytime you want. If you have multiple copies of a luxury resource, that's when you actually have the opportunity to trade it without losing the bonuses that you are getting from having that luxury resource because you haven't traded away your last copy. But as you can see here, I have 3 citrus, but only 1 silk, 1 spice, and 1 whale. So if I were to trade away my whales to Casimir, I could do it. But here's the problem. I would actually lose the happiness bonus from my whales. Same with spices, same with silk. Not with citrus, because I still would have 2 more. Now, if I set this trade up and propose it, there, he just accepted it because I wasn't asking anything in return. I'm literally just giving him citrus for 30 turns. Let's pull this back up. But notice now citrus is no longer an option with Casimir, because I can't trade more than 1 citrus to him. You can just trade 1 of any given luxury resource at a time. But that's what these numbers mean. And so trading luxury resources is a great way to help modulate your own happiness. If you know that your happiness is an issue and you maybe want to arrange a trade with another civilization to get a luxury resource that you don't have, or if you have an abundance of a certain luxury resource and you don't mind trading it to other civilizations as a way of gaining leverage over them in the ways I'm about to explain, you can do that as well. Strategic resources are the exact same thing. You can give set amounts the same way that you can give set amounts of gold, and if you completely trade away all of your strategic resources, you won't be able to build any of the units requiring that strategic resource. So, all of that having been explained, you can also trade, as I've mentioned in the series, but I just want to talk about it a little bit more. You can trade for votes. If you want to get a certain player, a certain AI, to vote a certain way to ensure that your proposal is passed or that another player's proposal fails, you can do it if you really want to be diplomatically cunning. I'll be honest, it's not something that I do a lot in Civ 5. I usually just go for amassing a lot of delegate support myself and just try to overpower the other civs in the game. But one thing I'm very much looking forward to doing is once I have a slightly more powerful PC, I've got a 3.2 gigahertz, like 8-core processor right now, which is good, but by modern standards, it's not great. And so when I'm playing large games of Civ 5 on large maps with lots of civs, it can be kind of brutal in the late game. It takes a while to load. Game runs smoothly, but the load times are rough. And doing so, really having more nuanced trade deals and spending a lot of time digging down is not something that I do as much in Civ. That's just a bit of an explanation for why I haven't done it more in this series and why I haven't talked about it. But so that's how the World Congress voting works. We've already talked about embassies. This allows you to see the other player's capital. Of course, we already have an embassy in Poland's capital, so there's no issue there. Open borders allows military and civilian units, as you can see here, to pass through one's territory. Again, it lasts for 30 turns. Open borders is a really good way to help gain a cultural influence over other civilizations. When you have open borders, you can send musicians into their territory, but also just having the open borders treaty gives you a tourism bonus with that particular nation. So it's something that you'll want to do if you're going for the cultural victory. So defensive pacts, if this player is attacked, the other will immediately and automatically declare war on his enemies. So if either player declares war, the agreement is canceled. Again, it's a defensive pact. It's not an offensive pact. And then last but not least, at least in this column before we go down into cities, there's the research agreement. And the research agreement, I believe I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but all it is you're agreeing to spend a certain amount of money, 250 gold. You each spend that amount of money. You're not giving it to each other, but you have to spend 250 gold to initiate the research agreement. You're basically making an investment. And after 30 turns, you get just a science boom, kind of like consuming a great scientist. So it's a great way to kind of make a pact with another nation and say, hey, let's work together to improve our technology. So sometimes if you find yourself on the low end of the technology totem pole and there's another civilization in the same boat, that can be a very lucrative deal for both of you. Not lucrative money-wise, because obviously you're giving up 250 gold, but you get the idea. So cities, you can literally arrange to transfer the control of a city to someone else. And this is how you do it. If I want Poland to give me one of his cities, I would just select it here. Oh yeah, that's right. This is actually a drop-down box. When you have this open, you can actually demand that Poland make peace with other players. Right now, Poland's not at war with anybody. You can also demand that he declare war on people. This is something that I have, frankly, never done in Civ 5. I've never really felt the need, but it's cool to know that you can do it. And that, my friends, is a more detailed rundown of the trade screen and the things that you can do with it. I'm not likely to do another half episode on trade just because I feel like I've gone into sufficient detail here. But by all means, if you have any questions about this, please, please, please use the comment section below as a discussion board in this particular episode, because this is probably the most focused, detailed explanation of any mechanic that I've given in Civ, because trade is so fundamental to so many things. So by all means, use the comment thread, ask a question, look for your questions as well. It's possible that someone else at some point in time might ask the question that you want to ask, and it's already been asked, and you can find it in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next episode.